This is objectively one of the better electric cars I've ever driven. It's very well tuned. It has a sense of personality. It's fun. It's got great materials. It just needs more range and faster charging. It does the Mini thing where when you hit the corner and get it into a turn, it boogies and rips. So this interior is just the jam. Thank you to our sponsors for today's video: Eaton, Amber, InfyPower, and StarCharge. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure hardware and software gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow. Learn more at eaton.com/EVCI. Also, our sponsor, Amber, providing modern protection plans for your Tesla's battery and more, without the hassle of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description to explore their plan options and use code SPEC5 for a 5% discount on all orders. And InfyPower is the largest EV charger module provider with over 3 million power modules running reliably worldwide. Their latest G2 collection features ultra-high power density and efficiency for EV charging and energy storage integration. InfyPower, innovation for your power. And StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage with microgrid solutions. Hello, good morning, and welcome to a very exciting day here on Out of Spec. You join me with the new MINI Countryman that is fully electric. A lot of you guys may or maybe may not know that a lot of my love for cars started around the MINI brand. And for them to be going electric, not only with the really fun hardtop Cooper SE, which has sort of been sunsetted, but now with their new model, the electric Countryman, well, I am pretty excited to say the least. I've already taken you on a full tour of this car. We've shown you different specs and versions over the years. However, now finally it is my time to drive it. So I'll give you a refresher course on the specs, the options, the pricing, everything about the car, and then we'll go for our very first drive in the electric MINI Countryman. Should be a freaking awesome day. So join me for my first drive of the MINI Countryman SE ALL4. And here it is. I've chosen this particular one to take out because I think it looks great in this spec. It's got the optional 19-inch wheels and it's pretty much fully loaded. These things are not cheap. I'll be the first one to admit that. This one's about $50,000, which is, you're touching on Model 3 performance money somewhere around here. You can see another one in green backing in just over here. However, I think it's certainly a nice size of vehicle, very similar to the BMW iX1 and iX2 underneath, and they sort of share that same battery pack architecture and everything like that. Aside from the price, they start at, let's just say, low 40s, go to low 50s, plus or minus for most specifications. I'm sure they're going to lease out pretty well, especially in states like Colorado with a ton of incentives, and they're pretty practical. You can get a factory trailer hitch on them. You can get factory roof bars. I need to figure out how much you can tow with this thing because that would be interesting to me. And you can see pretty good trunk space as well. If you guys remember from our full tour of this vehicle, even though it says Mini on the badges, it's actually fairly practical. And for some of you who don't know, I've done literally hundreds of thousands of miles in MINI Countrymans over the years. And so this car has a special place in my heart. And so I'm really hoping to see the brand, that puts so much money into a refreshed model lineup, actually maybe have a resurgence of life left in it. If not, this might be the final series of MINI models that we'll see. And certainly they're going to run these models through the next 7-year typical life cycle. But if they don't sell, I don't know. I feel like maybe a little bit of love has been lost for MINI over the years. And I've been talking to some of the executives here at this event that I'm at, and I'm like, guys, what are you going to do to bring back the love of MINI? And everyone's got their own ideas. I'm not sure it'll work, and I'm not sure the idea of a over $50,000 electric crossover is the right idea. But I digress. We can talk about the Mini brand all we want, but let's focus on the car, which I actually think is going to be a really compelling offering for someone who wants a relatively compact but very premium and very nicely equipped vehicle for, I'm not going to say a reasonable price, but certainly, you're paying up, but it's cool. It's got these cool accents in here, really nice materials. It's got the strap on the wheel, super nice. I think this is called Vesin is how you pronounce it. I forget exactly how to pronounce it, but really nice leather-free material, but it looks super premium and feels honestly better than leather in my opinion. I'm a huge fan. The build quality looks great, but here's where things start to go downhill. 212-mile EPA range for $50,000 in this, maxed out iconic specification with everything. The range, at least on paper, doesn't seem that great. We'll have to see how it is in the real world, and certainly it's going to be plenty for people who are commuting, who have maybe another road trip vehicle or something like that, just as an extra car. But, it's a lot of money for an extra car. I'm not here to make excuses for this thing. In terms of the battery pack, it's just about just under 65 kilowatt hours usable. Small buffers on this thing, so they recommend an 80% daily charging limit, as with every other BMW Group EV, including the Rolls-Royce Spectre. And it's got the great flaps, the AC and DC flaps in there. This is our first time seeing the Countryman in the US specification. It does have a 48 amp onboard charger, and it DC charges at 130 kilowatts peak. However, I have to say, this car is so low voltage. I mean, you're talking mid 200 volts dead, that you need to find a 500 amp charger in order to get up to that 130 kilowatt charge rate. And it's very similar to like Equinox EV with this super low voltage architecture that to me just almost hampers the everyday usability of the car, especially if you don't have home charging. Unless you have a high power charging station near your home that you can rely on. If you're relying on a lot of urban 50 or 100 or 150 kilowatt charging stations in your area, this is going to charge significantly lower than usually what the charging station maximum output is, just because of the such low voltage nature of the battery pack. They'll say 400 volt on the website, but it's way the heck down there. And if you're curious about how that all works out, I took an iX1 on a road trip on my personal channel, just called Kyle Connor. It wasn't much of a road trip. I just went Stuttgart, Munich, and back. But we charged it a few times at superchargers and other stations as well. It's the same battery that's in here, and we were really disappointed with the low voltage nature of this battery pack. In terms of space and size, I've of course already taken you on a full tour, and that will be linked, but plenty of room. For example, I'm 6'1" or 1.86 m. You can see plenty of room for my feet underneath the seat, plenty of knee room for where it's positioned, plenty of headroom as well. The seats can recline positions. Very nice in here. I have this nice center armrest with 2 cup holders. I've got USB-C ports. Everything in this car, surprisingly, is high quality, wonderful stitching. Like, the material usage in here certainly feels like a $50,000+ car. And, is this the direction Mini should have gone? You tell me. I have my own opinions. But I think this is a car I'm really going to recommend to a lot of my friends who want to stand out, not just drive a Model Y, be a little bit different, but maybe don't need the long distance capability that Tesla and others offer. Certainly, if it's your only vehicle, it's a tough sell just because of the charging performance. Not even the range. I can get over the 200 miles of range. It's really that hardcore DC charging performance that I'm just a little bit disappointed with. Loving the new Mini badges. You can see the radar up here because this car is now equipped with lane centering and a really cool functionality in terms of hands-free driving assistant up to, I think, 35 or 40 miles an hour or something like that. Seemingly really good. And what I really love in this car is what's going on in here in the front. Take a look. We have a little bit of an eye tracking situation. We've got a somewhat of a head-up display right here. But then you have this new Mini Operating System 9. And I was going to really praise it, but so far it's been incredibly laggy. There we go, just loaded. It's been incredibly laggy, and I think the operating strategy works pretty well. You've got Spike the dog, who's been a brand mascot for years and years, as sort of your virtual assistant. It's running on an Android-based system, so you can get all of your trip information. If you click in here, for example, and you can see, okay, I've regened 31.3 kilowatt hours over the last 413 miles, so maybe a lot of accelerations and decelerations. You know, little cool tricks and things in here. They're definitely catching up in terms of software, but the response time just needs to be better, in my opinion. I have no idea what this menu would be. Let's see. Just a car driving on a cloud. What? Oh, driver assistance stuff. So there's trailer mode. Oh, cool. And then you can say your max trailer speed. How neat is that? Little cool things in here. Certainly a lot of great functionality. Everything you would get, honestly, with the i7 Assisted Driving Plus. Fantastic functionality, distance control, lane guidance. I mean, a lot of the tech in here is worthy of the car's quite expensive price. You have different drive modes or experiences, as MINI calls them. So you have core, green is your eco mode, personal is sort of the, I don't know, I guess the normal everyday setting is what they are in BMWs. Vivid, what the heck's going on with Vivid? We can hit a play button. I don't know, but you can just run through all these different ones. Timeless, balance, trail. Okay, this is more of like an all-terrain off-roading feel. Interesting. What is this max range that keeps popping up? I want to go to see what other modes we have. Go-kart. This is sort of the performance modes. Very interesting. Let's go. See, it goes away when I select it, but I'm not sure. See if I can get it in time. There we go. Max range. Hit it. Additional range, approximately 50 miles. So this is like eco mode plus. You can only go 60 miles per hour in that mode, and then it gives you absolutely everything. Well, we don't necessarily need that because we're fully charged up here. If I click the battery menu, does it pull up any more information? It doesn't seem to, but you've got some really cool old school gauges on here, and I've taken everyone through this system before in a tour, but just to show you, we'll go to the personal setting, which is sort of the standard setting here. I can go to my seat heating and steering wheel heating. It's now that it's kind of up and running, it's seemingly a little bit snappier, which is great. I can go to my full app selection as well. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's really a nice display. It's all OLED, which is cool. And I'm pretty pleased with it. I love that you have some hard buttons to get to. For example, your driving settings right here. Boom, I can get to my driver assistance, drivetrain, and my charging settings. There's some interesting things in charging settings, as there are with every BMW. For example, you can see they recommend that 80% charging limit right there. Your AC onboard amperage can be adjusted up to 48 amps and down from there. There's other additional settings such as plug-in charge with multi-contract, so you can hook up through your app and Electrify America subscription or Iona or one of these ones to come. There's a manual preconditioning option, which is pretty cool. So it can go, for example, one-off preparation will take 50 minutes. Okay, interesting. I love that it tells you how long remaining until it's totally preconditioned and ready to rock and roll. We're not technically DC charging this car, so we don't need to do that. And overall, I mean, it's just a really nice, well thought out system. And a lot of that is thanks to the parent company, BMW over here, who engineers, of course, electric cars for some time now. Now, the MINI Electric brand, I just want to talk a little bit more about this before we go for a drive so you can understand the full lineup. But one last thing before we do that is we have to test the route planning. This is so important, as this Countryman SE is going to be a lot of people's first electric car, maybe MINI enthusiasts ready to take the plunge. It has more range and faster charging than the regular standard hardtop Cooper SE, and I think they are going to go on road trips in this car, or at least many people do. So let's put in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm at the BMW Performance Center. Ooh, didn't quite get that second hit. I'm at the BMW Performance Center in Greer, South Carolina, so Greenville, Spartanburg area. I definitely know I hit it. So this is our range spider. We're definitely going to go outside of that. How will it calculate everything? Let's see what it does. Yeah, the response speed, it's dying for a faster processor in here. You can see just a little bit of glitching, a little bit of thinking going on here. There we go. It's mapped the route. Come on, let's go. Think. Some systems are just boom, done. And then we're over with it. There we go. And there's the high power charging stations added. And I love how it did mostly HPCs, which are the high power ones, which is kind of what you want. Man, really quite smooth scrolling, might I add, here. And so let's take a look. If I want to click on this second one, high power EV Go. Wow, really nice. Says 3 of 4 available. So it did a really good job with the route planning, seemingly at first glance. And I wonder if there's settings where I can adjust my arrival state of charge, Electrify America. It doesn't get real-time station data, it looks like, from this one, which you have to pay for. The automaker has to pay Electrify America to get that real-time station data. But yeah, once you give it time to load, it definitely did a good job. Let's come in here to settings. I'm loving the graphics on here. It's so fun. It's so cool. There's the charging route, and you can say at charging station minimum, hell yeah, out of spec style. And at your destination, let's just say 15-20% if you're going to a city and you're not sure if you have charging. That's really great. So they really get everything in here. And then display charging stations. For me, I would just do direct current and high power chargers. That way the map doesn't get filled up in your area. We can zoom in on the north up function. Whoops, maybe I have to do one of these jobbers and then lock it in. Yeah. Nice display, loving the circle. All of that is good. I'm pretty impressed overall with the technology, might I say. Loving the steering wheel as well. Again, I've gone on a full tour of this car. I think it's almost an hour long, so check that out. But for now, let me just talk about the MINI brand and then we'll drive this. So MINI in America is having a tough time bringing in electric cars. And the Countryman, this one's easy enough for them to bring in from a tariff standpoint because this car is built in Leipzig, and we've been to Leipzig many times on this channel for different videos and things, so we know that factory, we know the area, and well, I think it's great that this car is built there alongside iX1 and iX2, and we're able to bring this one to America. Out of MINI's offerings, this one feels like it's the best suited electric car for our market. The F56 battery electric is no longer in production. That car has been sunsetted, so those battery electric vehicles are not in production anymore. There's the new J01, which we are going to get the hardtop version in the US, but not the electric version. And that is already made a video of their electric version. It's made by Great Wall Motors, or in collaboration with Great Wall Motors in China. And that's the reason we're not getting the standard refresh Cooper hardtop electric. And I think that car would have done well here. It had some great updates for this model year, and it looks awesome, and it has the same infotainment, and it feels really cool, and I love that car, but we're not getting it, sadly, due to tariffs. And same with the MINI Aceman, which is electric only, I believe, and that is sort of the size of like the Cooper hardtop 4-door, but electric and kind of funky and like smaller than this, but that's not coming here either, at least for the foreseeable future. So with that said, this will be the only electric MINI on sale in our market, and it feels very premium. It's the right size and just needs more range, I think. Okay, or at least faster charging. Maybe I'm okay with the range, and certainly the price is a tough one to swallow, but that's always been the case for MINI. MINIs have always been a bit more expensive, but you do get a wonderful interior, especially in the newer ones, and this is no question a fantastic place to be. I'm really sold on the argument on, okay, if you're not going to do a lot of high mileage road trips, skip the Model Y and go for something like this. Because if you're just cruising around town, this is so much more fun and has so much more personality than a Model Y. And I like the Model Y. I recommend the Model Y to everyone all the time. But this car's just got some really fun personality to it. You just can't ignore the Tesla value with electric cars. All right, my very quick first drive in the MINI Countryman SE ALL4. We are not getting the base car in the US, so they make a standard front-wheel drive version. We're only getting the all-wheel drive, 300 plus horsepower, fully electric situation. So let's just go through and go through some options from a driver assistance standpoint. Just going to make sure we have everything available to us, that we're kind of ready to rock and roll. Looks all pretty good. I'm going to go to drivetrain settings really quick as well. We have one pedal driving, it looks like, available to us. If I go into B mode, the shifter's down here in the center. So I can, first of all, have to turn the car on by rotating an old school classic key in the center. It makes some really fun noises as it comes up. That was a great little zippy sound. Love that. Experiences, we're just going to keep in normal personal. I'm going to lock it into B mode for increased regen, as I always do. I've got my phone on the wireless charger. Got very comfortable seats. And we're off in the Countryman Electric. Got the wheel all the way out. Let's go. One pedal tuning. Feels just like the BMW does, which means it's a little, moves a tiny bit at the bottom, close to 0 miles per hour, but now we're off. Haha, so cool. Man, it has been a dream of mine to drive a Countryman that was electric for a long time, as someone who's been driving Countrymans for my whole legal driving life, I should say. So let's say goodbye to these guys here. Check out with the car. Howdy.
This is, hold on, Kyle Connor.
Yep, you got it. Yep. All right, so we are off now in the Countryman SE. Everything in sort of standard mode, but with regen on high in B mode. And man, the one thing I'm looking for here is refinement, it's comfort, and then also a sense of fun. Minis need to be fun to drive, and I'm not totally sure. I don't know if this will be or not. I guess we'll find out. I don't really remember the iX1 being that fun to drive, but let's just get out on the street, gentle accelerations. Wow. The noises are hilarious. It's making this almost Jetson like head-up display as a really bad implementation. It should show on the windshield, not as this, you know, piece of plastic on the dash. I really don't like that so much. The noise is so funny. I'm gonna turn that off, and you can. It's called the MINI sound, and then you just get a similar noise but at a lower decibel level. So we're out in the car, and certainly the interior volume feels good. Nice big glass roof. It's, you know, a lot of people would say it's no longer a Mini, but that's been the argument since the Countryman came out, and they're ruining the brand and all these things. And man, so many Mini enthusiasts bought Countrymans back when they came out. But what I want to try, of course, is just making sure acceleration and braking feel pretty good. So we're at high state of charge, but as I lean into the brake pedal, no one is behind us. Strong braking performance, just edging up to it, giving more and more power. Feels pretty slow, if I'm honest. It's not bad. And maybe it's just that we're so used to fast electric cars now, but it feels, maybe in the sense that it's so quiet, there's no noise with the sound off, that there's no drama to the acceleration. So let's just do a full braking test and a full acceleration test as we're in an area with no one around, which is great. So 3, 2, 1, full brakes. Brake by wire, feels heavy under braking, wow, and full throttle. Launches hard. Makes full power up to about 40 miles an hour, and there's 60. So yeah, I mean, it does the electric thing in the sense where it's just drama-free torque acceleration, but you know, another couple 100 horsepower or 100 horsepower wouldn't hurt it at all. It's certainly not giving you the EV whoa experience. It's just enough to kind of get up to speed, and certainly here at highway speeds, it pulls along nicely. I think anyone shopping in this class of car for something like this isn't going to be looking for any more. So I would say the turning radius was good. The noise of the electric motors are dead silent, very impressively quiet, and the braking performance felt good by brake-by-wire, very strong braking performance, and the acceleration is adequate, I would say. It's not fast, it's not fun to me. Maybe some people who are used to lower power cars, but even then I'm, you know, thinking it's on par with Equinox EV or something like this. Let's turn on the adaptive cruise control and see how the situation works. So I'm going to put us to assisted driving mode, because now finally we get lane centering in a Mini Countryman, which is exciting for me, because as someone who does a lot of highway driving, a lot of cruising on roads like this, I really think it's important that you have some sort of level 2 driver assistance system. And I'm really glad to see now that this is built on, you know, it was built on a BMW chassis previously, but now it's really got the full BMW driver assistance suite that, you know, it's sort of the mid-tier suite, I should say, because BMW also has a system that can go hands-free up to 85 miles an hour. This is just the one that can go hands-free up to 35 or 40 miles an hour. Forget the hands-free thing. You just want it to stay in the lane on the highway and cruise. put your hand lightly on the wheel. Let's make sure it's a capacitive touch wheel here, as it will hopefully ask for me to give an intervention. There we go. These light up orange. It is a capacitive wheel, lovely, and it's just a great cruiser. It's pretty quiet on the highway, especially for the class of car. There is quite a bit of like just airiness above me that's letting some noise and sound in. I can even probably close the sunshade up above. And yeah, but overall, this is a pretty loud concrete surface that's going to bring in a lot of high frequency sound into the car, and it's doing a great job. Honestly, on par with the new M5 I was just driving for noise performance in terms of that high frequency sound coming in. A lot of that's down to the tire selection, but I'm pretty impressed overall. This you could definitely do some miles in without a care in the world, without a problem at all. And yeah, which is great, because I've done highway miles my whole life in Countryman, so I'm glad I'm finally doing it electric. Ride quality is definitely stiff and controlled, but not unusually bad or anything like that. Again, we're just in the normal mode, but let's just kind of send it through a corner here. Man, gets into the corner, nice. A little bit of traction control intrusion. It actually is kind of fun to toss around. That was impressively cool. Let's flip this thing up into GoKart mode. Green core GoKart. Boom. Let's go to the settings. Drivetrain. Let's see, there's no way to turn off traction control? There's always a way to turn off traction control. What the heck? Anyway, we don't necessarily need to do that, but let's go GoKart mode, mini sound on. We have B mode on. Let's just merge back onto the highway and see how it feels with some acceleration. Fantastic turning radius, by the way. The sounds are so gimmicky. But this is a really good test of some acceleration, of course. We have kind of a blind corner coming around here, and we do have to go absolute full acceleration to get onto the highway. So 3, 2, 1. Oh, I hate the noises. Turn that off. Yeah, much better with the noises off. And my buddy Horatio is in front of me from BMW blog driving the new X3. If you're interested in BMW and Mini news, of course, shout out Horatio and BMW blog. He makes great videos and articles about all things BMW group. Seatbelts locked me in. Okay, so in the Mini now, just cruising along. Let's go into what other modes can we try? Green mode for efficiency could be interesting. Let's try that out. I've got a power gauge. The throttle has gotten pretty lazy now, so we're coming in under some deceleration. I really like all the themes. Someone spent a lot of time on this stuff. You can go full power, but your gauges go red. So the car helps you. It almost gamifies your throttle position for the most efficient kind of driving. And I think that's pretty cool. I love all the different modes. I mean, it's a car that is perfect for someone who gets bored while driving, which is me. And so I want stuff to play with and things to do and driver assistance and screens and all this crap, because if you're just sitting on the highway for a few hours, man, it gets rough. In a daily commute, none of this really matters. You just start it up and drive it. And it's got a interesting seating position that I think works pretty well. Overall, I am, yeah, really liking my first impression of the Countryman. I'm going to drive it some more, share some more impressions, but the first experience in this car is high quality, quiet, not that fast. Wish it was faster. Wish they, making a JCW version of one of these that actually boogies. And I think the charging performance is almost a non-starter for me. Yeah, that's really the freaking bummer about this car. It's just the low voltage battery pack means the charging is gonna suck ass. So with that said, let's go for some more driving and catch up with you guys in a minute. As I'm spending more time in the Countryman and getting used to the infotainment system, I'm really liking it because it has a lot of the same powerful features that the BMW system has, like iDrive 8.5 and 9, which I'm a big iDrive fan. Except for I hate the layout of the way iDrive does everything, and some of this certainly is there, and you've got this stupid doom scrolling of apps that you can go through, and it's really hard to pick out the right one. However, like climate control's right where I want it. All of I can swipe and scroll to the best features. The screen is very cool looking, and certainly it feels solidly mounted to the dash. And at nighttime, there's even some light projections that come out on the outside. And you know, something about this car is just making my day better. Which, if I look at a comparable vehicle in terms of size, would be like the Chevy Equinox EV, also a low voltage, also a relatively tame car. This feels faster than the Equinox, by the way. This, I don't want to make it seem like it's a slow car, because it's not. But I do think you are going to use wide open throttle in daily driving. And you know, I just think about, is this car worth significantly more money than the Equinox, even though on paper it has less range and has slower charging? And I think yes. I think just the feeling of the experience of being in here is so nice. My only wish is that they would make it, for the price, comparable on the EV specs. And it's very similar to what we've seen with BMW electric cars, is the cars are great, fantastic interiors, great ride quality, even good drivetrain tuning and very nice to drive characteristics. But just the EV performance of the entire BMW Group portfolio is not class leading in any segment. And even down here in this, you know, relatively entry level, and I hate to say $50,000 entry level because it's really not and shouldn't be, but even down here into the Mini, you know, let's say you get one for low $40,000, there's just so many cars out there for the money. Equinox comes to mind instantly for having more EV prowess, daily driving range, charging performance than this. And to me, that's just the main thing I'm struggling with, because if you separate the on-paper statistics, if you just charge this at home, if you really aren't driving far, this is objectively one of the better electric cars I've ever driven. It's very well tuned. It has a sense of personality. It's fun. It's got great materials. I really love being in here, and I love that they didn't really skimp on the tech. Minis have always been like second-class citizens in the BMW Group lineup. I hate to say it that way, but like, they've never gotten the good tech. They never got the good driver assistance tech. They always got the hand-me-down software. And now it's like, no, Mini's got maybe even a better operating system with just as powerful features as a 7 Series BMW. And that means a lot, especially to me as someone who really enjoys small cars that are premium, where I could see an argument even for myself to have a smaller vehicle in an urban environment that is very nice to drive, and you don't need to park a boat like a 5 or a 7 Series to get the same experience. Now that we're on some twisty roads, I'm going to bump us into go-kart mode. Oh yeah. And we'll find some cool twisty roads to cruise around in this thing. Looking forward to that. So here we found ourselves on some fun roads, and I've dialed up my settings menu for the go-kart mode. And we're gonna go driving dynamics with DSC off, may as well. Okay, there we go. Steering behavior, sport. Typically I like comfort, but it felt pretty light. You can choose your general start experience, so you can choose anywhere between core and balance and trail, but you can't have it start in go-kart mode? What the heck? So you've got to select go-kart mode every time. So many different experience modes in here. It would take a lifetime to go through them. And there's an experience jingle. What the heck? They've even made a little jingle. And, okay, there's an experience view as well. Anyway, I think we've got it dialed up, DSC off, everything's ready to rock and roll. Let's have some fun. Straight road, not a fun road. Certainly feels quite isolated. I feel like I'm sitting quite high. Suspension definitely feels a little stiff, but there's so much deflection in this thing. Oh my goodness, especially in the rear subframe. There's just so much movement going on back there. You know, I don't know if the head-up display is optional in this car, but I almost think it should be. You know, I have a Model 3, so I'm not the first one to complain about just having a single screen. And actually, Cybertruck and other Tesla vehicles, like, I like having the single screen off to the right. However, this head-up display is just so not premium and so not nice, but you need it, because if you don't have this, then the speedometer's all the way over here, whereas in a Tesla, it's a little bit closer top left. Because it's at the top of this circle, it's all the way the heck over there. So we've got the car dialed in. I found apparently the straightest road in the mountains, which is annoying. But we're going to go find some twisty roads and have some fun in the MINI Countryman, because to me, Minis have to be fun to drive. They just have to be. And we're going to find out if it is. Well, now you join me out to have some fun in the Countryman. Let's see if we can actually enjoy this car a bit, which to me is really important that a Mini can do. First of all, great road isolation on this quite broken surface. And I've got everything dialed up into the maximum setting. We have a huge dump truck coming towards us, so we're going to be extra careful there. And start having some fun around the corners. Wow, yeah. It definitely has consistent power all the way to where you would expect it. Getting into the brake pedal feels nice. Again, it's a firm brake-by-wire system. I think BMW's been doing a really good job with these brake-by-wire setups. And dead quiet electric motors, absolutely silent. You definitely notice that the car is pretty compliancy in terms of the bushings. I can put in, you know, steering and feel the car kind of have this not quite wafting effect, but it's not as buttoned down as I was expect a Mini to be. So to me, there's room for a JCW variant, or at least a sport suspension variant of the Countryman, which I think could be kind of fun. Let's just chuck it through this corner here. Yeah, I mean, it definitely turns. It does the Mini thing where when you hit the corner and get it into turn, it boogies and rips. So I'm pretty impressed overall. This isn't going to be like a complete performance review of the car, just because there's nowhere to really drive it that hard. But I think for most people looking for the daily commute, if you have a couple corners, this definitely has a sense of that Mini spirit where you can hustle it through some corners, and it's well tuned and well damped, but it definitely has some you know, room for performance improvement, which almost every car does out of the factory anyway. So with all of that said, let me give you my final thoughts on the car as we get back to where we're going. Again, a very quick first drive experience of the MINI Countryman SE, and I'll wrap this all up for you. So in summary, the MINI Countryman SE ALL4 is, on the low end trims, I think it's not that much more expensive to get this really cool, nice interior and spec it up with all the fun stuff. So I really think you're already spending quite premium money for a, on paper, not so capable electric car. And I think just go for it. Get the good stuff, because I love this wheel, love this interior. This interior is just the jam. But I love that you get this software package as standard. So I think there's a lot of, let me just separate this car into two categories. And let me first talk about the electric car portion of the MINI Countryman SE. First of all, charging performance, way too slow, way too low voltage. There's no acceptability for a 130 kilowatt charging vehicle peak that needs 500 amps in the 300 volt range. While achieving that just has no place in 2024 in our market. So I think that's inexcusable from Volkswagen Group, from my opinion. They nerfed this car for being so low voltage with so low charging. From the range perspective, 64 point whatever kilowatt hours usable is seemingly pretty good, but think about the frontal area of this car. The Countryman's always been a bit of a brick. It's never been super efficient, and well, I think this suffers from some of the real aerodynamic drag issues that the Countryman kind of has, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a bummer. And then if you think about the other components of the car from an electric standpoint, the charging from AC side seems pretty good, 48 amps. And that's where it starts to make more sense as an EV, is charging it at home every day, not really planning to do the big long trips, just cruising along on the daily, doing the commute, dropping the kids off at school, doing whatever. Then it really makes some sense. So that's the electric car side, which I'm pretty disappointed with. Then the car side, the new Countryman rocks. It's the right size, it's the right shape, it's fun, it's premium, it's great to drive, it has plenty power, its chassis dynamics are pretty well sorted. I mean, overall, this is a really well sorted vehicle. It just needs more range and faster charging, especially for that commanding higher price. So with all of that said, I will leave you guys now from here in beautiful South Carolina. I thank you so much for watching this review of the Mini Cooper SE Countryman ALL4. Got to put the E in there. And I've really enjoyed the car, and I really hope these things have a good lease, especially in Colorado where there's a bunch of incentives in other states, because I really want people to buy this car because it's fun, it's happy. When I see one on the road, I'm going to be like, oh, this dude or this lady went out of their way to have a fun driving experience and doing it electric. And there you have it. That's the Mini Cooper SE Countryman L4. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on another one again soon. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is it too expensive? Does it have not enough range? What are your thoughts? Those are my thoughts, at least. See you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.